Right then, guys, we are recording. So, welcome to the first Inspired podcast. And today we're going to talk about diets and what we all think about them and how we think they fit in, or if they fit in with our industry. So, Jamie Cole and Darren Tysoe with us today. So, if you just want to quickly introduce yourselves, Darren, you start off.
Yeah, my name's Darren. I'm a personal trainer local to Bedfordshire. I've been in the industry for a good 15, 16 years, give or take. Kind of got a little studio that was a private one-on-one, two-on-one when you could do those back in the day. Just off.
Back in the day before the pandemic.
Yeah, just those days when you allowed people inside of buildings and things. So I have a little studio that I set up that was ideally for people that were a little bit low in confidence, wanted to kind of get away from like external stresses from places like really big commercial gyms, felt a bit intimidated, like stepping one foot in the door of, taking on quite a daunting kind of thing, like just, fitness. So it was working really well for the first year of it opening, and then 2020 hit. So it's just about adaptation and, adapting live really at the moment, and that's kind of where we are at the moment, really.
Thank you very much, coronavirus.
Yeah, exactly. Fast tracked the industry, didn't it, online?
Yeah, it literally turned from everyone from a face-to-face trainer to an online trainer, literally overnight.
That's it.
Jamie Cole, a bit about you.
Okay, my name's Jamie. I'm the manager at Inspired in Kings Langley. Been in this industry nearly 13 years now. Previously worked in some mental health as well, because that's a passion of mine. But currently working with a small studio in Kings Langley where we work with groups as well. We're currently sort of branching to sort of online training as also because of the pandemic. And I'm looking forward to this podcast and airing my views and sort of hearing sort of Steve and Darren's views as well. So
adapting to survive. Well, we've got a wealth of knowledge in here, like 15, 16 years with yourself, Darren. I think 15, 16 years for myself, 12, 13 for you, Jamie. So there's a huge amount of knowledge, which is great to see. I suppose one of the main things we were going to talk about is diets and why, I'm not too sure if it's just our country, but why it's almost a go-to thing to lose weight. It looks like we lost Jamie there, but I'm sure he'll come back in a second when his internet internet sorts out. But what's your view on diets and a lot of the regimes and the products and stuff which is out there at the minute, Darren?
Well, I think the problem is it's lots of well, if you look at, like, say, when we first got into this industry and we first became more aware of trying to kind of help nutrition around exercise, and if people did have a certain goal. Funny enough, I actually put a post out today about this on my socials about when you choose a goal, if it's to lose weight or fat, what your training principles behind it. Are you focusing solely on aesthetics or functional performance? And I think with diet, people, it's their first go-to protocol when they want to lose weight. They don't assume it's the fact that they've been sat down for long periods of time. It's that they need to eat less. And obviously they've recognized that's the issue with their current lifestyle. Maybe they consume a little bit too many, hitting calories on the weekend. Maybe they're binging a little bit too much with alcohol, or maybe their situation has changed from, maybe it could be something as simple as being single into a relationship where they, get a little bit more loose with certain restrictions they might have had, and just kind of overindulge a little bit more. And it could just be, little things like that. So I think it's a real tough thing to kind of label one particular issue, why people gain weight. I think it could be a number of little things that have kind of just evolved to get to the point where they are. So it's like things like, we'll probably discuss things like Weight Watchers, Slimming World, all these kind of top 5 things you first think of when you think about fat loss and weight loss. It's just not enough to kind of create longevity in the problem. It's a lot more than that, and I think we're not pressing the right buttons and asking the right questions to figure out what that is.
Yeah, it seems to be like we've said, it's almost like that go-to, which I suppose some people could look at it as maybe as a bit of a quick fix as well. Jamie, are you still there? Just checking you're still there. No, he's not there. Is his internet down? but it does seem to be very much that way where people think, right, I need to lose weight, I need to go on a diet.
Yeah.
That's almost like a mindset which has been ingrained into everyone. I mean, like January is key, isn't it? It's like that key old kind of chestnut where people are like, right, they're feeling a bit, very sluggish over Christmas. Everyone's eating too much. Everyone's drunk too much, including us trainers, by the way.
But then that's the thing, isn't it? It's like that January kind of New Year, New Me thing. What we do is they go into December thinking, I can go in more with being overindulgent because I'll sort it out in January.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like, I'll do more work now. I'll put more, I'll eat more, drink more now, but they're not realizing it's going to be more work to do then. And
you're right. It's that mindset. It's that mindset of going, right, it's okay in January, I'll just go on a diet or I'll just do a bit more activity, but there's no real structure, plan. And I think the main thing, which we're probably going to when we talk about diets, is obviously the consistency factor. Is where people are starting their diets in January and they normally go 100%. So they cut out 100% chocolate. They'll literally put themselves on a low calorie diet.
It's like it's like a all carbs or no carbs kind of approach, isn't it?
It's kind of like all or nothing. And January's a horrible month anyway. It's after Christmas, no one's got any money, everyone's eating less, so they're feeling a bit sluggish. And if you're eating less and doing loads of activities, but you're not enjoying life at the same time, you're going to feel like rubbish anyway. So that's when normally people just fail and go, by February, they're like, I can't bother to do this. But they'll repeat that cycle year after year. They're going 100% in January on a diet which is unachievable, really, something they can't maintain. And then they fail at it, and then they think, well, okay, I'll just do my thing for the year. Then they'll feel the same again next year.
That's exactly it. Again, it's like your kind of slimming world and that. They'll do it for maybe 1 to 3 months, and they might get some good kind of results out of it because they've gone from eating God knows how many calories to being more aware of how many calories they're now eating. So they're obviously going to lose some weight. But then they'll still have their bad habits and lifestyle that's not been amended to this. So then after a few months, they won't lose any weight. That will kind of deter them back to their old habits because they're not really getting the results, or they're not losing the 8 to 12 pounds they did the first 2 weeks. Yeah. And then they'll leave it. A few months later, they'll pick up their habits again. They'll put the weight back on and they'll be back, right, well, what did I do last time? Oh, I went to Slimming World. And they'll do it again and again and again. And it's that, it's like I said, that's that cycle, isn't it? That needs to be broke, really.
Well, you're back, Jamie. You're back.
I'm streaming off my phone now, so hopefully it should be a bit better.
So what? You've everyone else is back on the Wi-Fi, but you're off the Wi-Fi now. Is that what it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm off of it and streaming off my phone, so hopefully it should be okay now.
So what's your? Obviously, you've missed most of that discussion. Me and Darren's. What's your view, I suppose, on the diets? And we mentioned that sometimes it's people's mindset to think, right, if I need to lose weight, I need to go on a diet. And maybe it's a little bit of a quick fix and maybe it's not that maintainable. What do you think? What's your views?
Well, look, my view is the word diet can be looked at in many ways, but all diets have the same principles, right? So obviously, and all diets are going to be a temporary fix. Because if you diet forever, you're going to die, right? Because you're going to lose every single bit of body fat that you have, right? So you're going to sort of die eventually. So all diets are temporary, but in my eyes, it's you have to get to the goal, and whatever way that you get to the goal, it doesn't really matter, but it needs to suit you personally. But it's the aftercare after that diet that matters, because no one's going to diet for 2-3 years, but you may diet for 12 to 15 weeks, and then a coach or a online program could then coach you after the diet. So the diet process is going to be much different than the lifestyle phase.
Like a reverse diet. So it's like finding a way back into slipping all the things you'd eat normally, but just maybe not as much or maybe not as often, and kind of finding that adaptation back into your lifestyle without being so extreme with it in the first place.
Yeah. I mean, because as fitness professionals, we write meal plans, don't we? So we write meal plans, and don't get me wrong, they're not diet plans, they are meal plans, which may be a lesser calorie, and we're going to up the activity so that they're burning more than they're actually eating. So obviously, we as professionals, I know we use that Inspired. There's a place for that almost at the beginning part of the training, because I suppose it works out quite strict to begin with, but it's only maybe for 4 to 5 weeks. It's almost like a kickstart, isn't it? And like you say, Darren, it's like a reverse. You then start reintroducing everything while keeping your training levels high as well.
Yeah, I think it's like if it's like going off a little bit with like we're all aware of like Joe Wicks and his body, the body coach plan. Have you ever seen like his how he does it with his meals, and then it's kind of like working beside his kind of like HIIT training sessions or whatever he's doing. If you look at his meals, the majority of them they're quite relatively high carb or calorie based. You're looking at it thinking from we're looking at this temporary diet thing, and you kind of think, well, how on earth can someone eat that many calories? Even if you look at Weight Watchers, they've got quite a lot of carbs on there, a lot of calories. But with the Joe Wicks thing, one has to go with the other. So if you're going to eat all these calories, you've got to be able to earn them and burn them. Can't do one and not the other, and vice versa. And
like that, earn and burn.
Yeah, that's what it's like to say. So you've got to kind of then, and that confuses people because they think, well, can I eat all this stuff? But then do I have to do the workout? And the problem with that is they're most likely going to eat all the food and less likely do the exercise. Because if you had a choice, you'd eat the food.
Yeah.
So it's not always going to.
And definitely that's where that old mindset comes in. Like when you're talking about carbs, they're like, oh, can I eat carbs? If I want to lose weight, I can't eat any carbs, and I shouldn't be lifting any weights either. I just need to be doing running or HIIT training or on the cross trainer for hours or whatever. It's almost like that old mindset. I suppose when I say this, I mean this in the best possible way. It's the uneducated view, because everyone's not trained to be a qualified nutritionist or personal trainer. So of course they're not going to understand. It's just bad information, what they've been given in the past. But no, I 100% agree with you with that. And just going back to the diets briefly, and maybe some of the I suppose the services which you've mentioned, because actually what they do is they do give you an extremely low calorie diet, but actually it's not food, it's shakes, isn't it?
Yeah. I think that's was that the Cambridge diet, or whatever, I can't remember now.
I think there's lots. So instead of eating a meal, you will have a shake.
Yeah. Well, it was like was it like last year at some point the government were trying to do that? They were trying to implement that shake thing for diabetics, weren't they? Yeah. And it was just such a terrible idea for they were trying to roll out, because it was the same thing, wasn't it? It's like if you give someone a shake that's consistent of, I don't know how many calories it was going to be, it's still not taking away their habit of eating. Yeah. So it's kind of like,
isn't it?
That's where I'm a bit torn with that, because if someone's severely obese, right, and they've got 4, 5, 6 stone to lose, I would actually agree with putting them on a program for 3-4 months to get 3 or 4 stone off. But so as I said back as earlier, you have to then coach them with the habits and stuff after that. As if they don't, I totally agree. It's so they're learning nothing. But are they going to be better off at the end of the 3-4 months on a 800 calorie shake diet with lower blood sugar and a lower BMI and a lot happier in their self? So 100%. But it's all about, you can't just do it and then leave them to it. You have to then give them a program after that.
You make a very good point, because if someone is clinically obese and someone does have type 1, type 2.
But I totally agree with the shakes. So people learn nothing, but
I think it's that's true. I mean, I think they just pushed the fact that there was these shakes available for people to lose weight, but they should have as well with that pushed the support they would have maybe given if they had given them, like you said, give them these shakes to drop this weight, because it's quite dangerous if they were severely overweight. But then they need that aftercare and support with it as well. Can't just give it to them, and if there was nothing else at all with that, then I can't really see how that's going to help.
And you can see what the government's thinking. They're thinking that the cost of care for that individual with medication, GP appointments, hospital appointments, for them to maybe pay for 3 months of shakes and get someone to lose weight and obviously reduce that weight, so there's less physical health problems. You can see they're thinking of it from a financial point of view. So I suppose what we're saying there, actually, that there may be a place for something like that, because if you weigh that up, if we're going to put someone on maybe shakes for 2 to 3 months, but actually that reduces the chances of them dying early or having any other physical health problems, then there might be a place for that. I think that's kind of what we're saying, aren't we?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I would agree with it if there's a second stage to it.
Yeah.
And not just a first stage and then that's job done.
You're absolutely
because,
right.
as like Darren said, they learn nothing.
If someone has lost all that weight and they feel amazing, what happens if they want to stay on the shakes and they don't want to reintroduce food again?
Well, this is the thing. Like, I don't know if you've ever worked with clients where they've made incredible results. They've done really well, and they've kind of maybe dropped some of the vices they might have had that got them in that place in the first place. And then it builds up this kind of like, anxiety about going back to it. You know what I mean? So if they're like back in a big, like even now, if someone's successfully lost weight because they've been taken out of social environments where you're most likely going to say yes to like more beer, more wines, more food, more whatever, and they don't have that to kind of like influence you, they might build up a certain level of anxiety or worry going back into that environment, thinking I'm not strong enough to say no anymore because I have been, because I've not had it there. So
absolutely right. I know we've had that a number of times, haven't we, Jamie? And it definitely goes back to that relationship with food, and not just a relationship, a healthy relationship with food. And it's kind of understanding, explaining that yes, we may put you on a low calorie diet for the next 3 to 4 weeks to kickstart you, but then at that point we will be reintroducing all your macronutrients because we need you strong, fit, healthy to fight off coronavirus, to be able to lift weights, to be able to run. We're not just going to put you on 900 calories and let you waste away.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it?
Just touching on your point about losing a lot in that first 3-4 weeks, that is a vital period for that client to continue. Because if they see no results in 3-4 weeks, that might make them stop.
Yeah.
So that motivation, so that they get from the scale moving, it might keep them on track for longer in the long term, instead of sort of getting to week 3 or 4 and then thinking this doesn't work. But so we all know it's not that. It's that they haven't sort of stuck to it for long enough, etc. Yeah. But a lot of people, like the general population, will try something for 3-4 weeks, not get a sort of result for one reason, and then the worst thing is they think that it's the principle. Yeah. And then they try something else.
Yeah, they want quick results, and people go from diet to
and
diet.
Then they try something else, and then that doesn't work, and then they're building up a diet culture, a bad view on it all, and then it's just a vicious cycle.
Do you think that's why? Do you think that's why Weight Watchers is so successful? Because they have a weekly meeting, almost like a weekly weigh-in.
Sorry, I missed the question.
Do you think that's why Weight Watchers is so successful? Because they have that weekly weigh-in, almost that accountability check, don't they?
Yeah, I think that's a big part of it, because people like to be sort of held accountable sort of most weeks.
People like praise, don't they? Like people very much work on an effort and reward system. So like if they get a Weight Watchers and they get their weigh in, and they're like, what is it, Slimmer of the Week, or is that Slim World, or whatever it was,
something like that, isn't it?
Same kind of thing. What about if they have got to the point where they just physically can't lose any more weight, because you get to a point where you can't, it's not linear, you just can't keep losing weight. So what then psychologically happens to them when they've lost so much weight and they've got into a routine with it, and that's the only way they can indicate results when they get to the point where they don't lose any more weight. And then they're going to these meetings, they're seeing other people, even new people, which are losing the weight that they did firstly. And they're kind of, then that could be a big kind of turn off to, a big demotivator in itself, can't it?
Yeah, it can be a huge knock, and like you say, to their confidence, and then stop someone in their tracks of kind of all the good work they're doing. But
because again, I don't think they are being like educated and supported for that.
Do they do personal plans based on weights and stuff like that, or?
I don't know. I think they have adapted it quite a lot now, but I think it's still on the principle that you lose. And I think people go into it still thinking, based on people I've spoken to about it, is the more you lose, the better you're doing. It's always that mindset, isn't it? They don't understand that if you've been doing it and you've lost, I don't know, 30 pounds, that 2 pounds is as great as that 12 pounds you might have lost. And it's, again, that those metrics don't matter. It's the fact that it's just not that big of a number, and that's what they gauge it all on.
Yeah, I think that's what we've spoken to a lot of people about. There's a difference when you're losing weight and you're standing on scales and you're looking at the weight you've lost, to actually when you either stand on a body stat or have your skin fold kind of caliper test done, and you work out how much fat you've actually lost. There's a big difference, because if you're gaining muscle while you're training, because we all know muscle weighs more than fat, but actually you're losing fat at the same time, your weight could be exactly the same, but you could have lost 2 pounds of fat, but you could have gained 2 pounds of muscle. And when people see that on scales, they go, "Oh, I haven't done nothing. After all that hard work, I'm going to stop."
Yeah, it gets to the point of when you find a scale's too dated, are they too prehistoric for what we're looking at doing moving forward, and are they a motivator or a demotivator?
Yeah, I'd 100%. In my view, I'd 100% say yes. It inspired. What we do is we do like a body stat evening, so we get someone on the body stat every 4 to 5 weeks if we can. So it gives it a good chunk of period. So we're not doing it every single week, but it's a good, I suppose, a good chance for us to talk to them, hold them accountable, them to hold us accountable, but actually look at where the muscle is, where the fat is, where's it gone, whereabouts it is on the body. It kind of gives that report, rather than just standing on scales. So I'm like, do not stand on scales. Throw away your scales at home, because it's not telling you. It's telling you 10% of the actual story.
And that's it. And it's like, you need the client or the person to be as honest as possible to, explain why these results have happened or haven't happened. Because they can say, oh, I've not done anything different. They maybe tracked their food or followed a meal plan, but they've had that sneaky biscuit here or a little wine there. Because at the end of the day, the body is a lie detector of fat, isn't it? So if you've eaten more, you've put weight on, and if you haven't, you haven't. So the scales are just a great tool to implement at the right time, but sometimes it comes down to, just, I suppose, common sense and honesty. If they have eaten a lot, they need to own up to that and be accountable for themselves.
Yeah, I think that we've said that word a few times now, accountable. And I think Jamie will agree with me, correct me if I'm wrong, because we've had this discussion a number of times. One thing that these groups have got it sorted with Slimming World of Weight Watchers is almost that accountability, going to a group, working within a group towards your goals. And that seems to be something which is definitely working for them. But like you said, where's the support after? And actually, where's the qualified support during that as well? Because obviously we've all had to take exams. We've all had to qualify to become personal trainers, to do our nutrition. We've all had to do exams to do that. So I wonder what qualifications these people who are leading these sessions have, or is it just they're reading from a book which Weight Watchers have given them?
I don't know. Is it a script? I know it used to be kind of like a script, didn't it? Or like like some kind of program format they just read out, they followed. I'm not 100% sure. I think it's something like that, but I'm sure it's not an actual dietitian.
Is we'll have to get someone who's been on the Weight Watchers program to come and sit down and talk to us, to fight their corner, to tell us kind of what they think is the kind of good bits and even possibly the bad bits.
But the thing is like with Weight Watchers and Slimming World, and there's that, maybe they're trying to morally do the right thing, but they're just kind of like applying the application slightly wrong. But that's still at least kind of pushing people in the right direction, and that's where you can wish for. It's where you get the other people like Herbalife and that, where it's a completely different, thing altogether.
Yeah, there's definitely a difference there. And I'm sure both of you guys have had the same thing. Someone will find you on Facebook. Someone will find out you've got a gym or you're a personal trainer, you work with clients, and someone from an organisation like Herbalife will got onto you and go, right, I want you to sell my products. I want you to sell these products. And actually, what you're going to do is you will make 50% or 20% off that. Then actually, if you get your clients to sell it for you, you're going to make a 20% off of that. But if your clients get someone else to sell it for them, you're going to make a percentage off of that. And I'm thinking, actually, what you're telling me is percentages. What you're telling me is how much money is going to be made here. You're not telling me actually how this is going to help people.
Exactly. And what even is it?
Yeah, and what is it? Can you tell me the ingredients are in that? Can you tell me, is this going to be good for us to give a client with someone who's got an eating disorder or with certain allergic reactions, or someone who's training to lift heavy weights, or someone who's training to burn fat?
Again, these things are just like what Jamie was saying about the aftercare thing. There is none. It just doesn't exist. It's just kind of, this is what it can do, or however they, advertise it. But then you're kind of like, I've got these products and that's it. I don't know what to do.
The thing that is morally wrong with all these things is that it forces the client to stay on board with them. And any person or any coach that sort of generally cares about the client says the same thing. You want to coach someone, you want to help someone so they don't need you anymore.
Yeah.
So you're coaching them to obviously a long-term changes, but as all these shakes and all these programs that we spoke about are sort of making sure that they don't leave their product and their service, as i.e. the shakes, the shake plan, etc.
They're trying to make them dependent on them, aren't they? So it's a constant.
And then it goes back to the financial gain of that person and their persons and the company.
Yeah. You're absolutely right. And it's something you mentioned there, Darren, actually the marketing of these products as well. How these products are kind of marketed on TV and how they use celebrities to market their products. I mean, like we know that I think Ronaldo did a huge amount of work with Herbalife a couple of years ago.
Oh yeah, I think that was wasn't it?
Yeah, I think Kelly Brook at the minute is doing something for either Slimming World or Weight Watchers, and there's always different celebrities almost promoting one of these kind of diets. Or if you see them in the magazines, like there's a before and after picture of how they look amazing now on the beach and follow this diet plan, and then the paparazzi or the media then go back to them a year later and absolutely hammer them when they've gone back to how they looked before.
Yeah, well, it's like I think I've got one of you two said it's about that longevity and results. So it's kind of not a quick fix. It's kind of obviously right at the beginning. It's something that you need to invest in. It's not something that's just going to happen. And I don't know if you get it. If you guys get like a client come to you and they literally expect results after maybe 8 sessions, and they kind of expect to look a certain way, they don't actually think that it's something they have to commit to for quite a while. Yeah. And it's actually a change in what they're doing, rather than just, what I've got to do is 8 sessions, maybe once a week, and I can actually look fabulous. So I don't know where they get this kind of misconception from it, really.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're definitely a culture, aren't we, where at the minute we want everything now. If fast food or order clothes or online or something like that, I want a beach body, so I'm going to do a 3-month shred to do that. Look great for a 2-week holiday, and then when I come back, I'll go back to kind of my normal self. There's no real lifestyle changes. There's no real habit changes.
No, that's the biggie. The biggie is habit. It's like, say if you've been training, so I take it, we've been training for quite a while, and we could quite easily have a really bad month of overeating. Say if you picked up an injury or something, you'd maybe not train to the volume you normally would. You'd probably maybe be a little bit off kilter with your food and things. You wouldn't really lose much of whatever physique or fitness you have if it's only a few weeks to a month. But that's because you've reinforced your body to adapt to a certain way over such a long period of time, because it's just a lifestyle, it's a habit. Yeah. So and that's what people don't realize. They don't realize it's a case of like I don't know, say like my other half, she's very slim, but she's only very slim because she's one of those people that does not sit still, just constantly like goes, doesn't really go to the gym, occasionally jogs and stuff, but just does not sit still and constantly moves. So that's just her natural state, I suppose. Whereas you have someone that sits down all the time and physically does not move, it's their natural state. So it's kind of changing the way that your lifestyle and your habit and your mannerisms and your actions are to actually get to where you want to be. And some people don't really get that, you know.
And we've all had to adapt it, especially at the minute. Because I know you're in the studio right now, Darren, so you can train in the studio. But I think you are as well, Jamie, but I'm training from home. So it's nowhere near, I suppose, the level of training I'd be doing normally. It's nowhere near me going to my jiu-jitsu gym in Bedford and kind of sparring and rolling with people. But like you said, it's that consistency. I do 30 minutes, whatever it is, every single day, 6 times a week, just to almost maintain. But I kind of, that's my discipline. I know that, and I almost find comfort in that in my routine. And
it's like how just brushing your teeth in the morning and the evening, isn't it? You just do it. It's just part of what you are and who you are.
Yeah, and I know you're training at home in a minute, aren't you, Jamie, as well? So your training's changed.
Yeah, I was saying to you the other day that obviously the first lockdown and this lockdown, it's a lot harder because obviously it's darker, it's colder. These sort of guidelines are a lot more stricter. Yeah, so I'm training sort of in my garage, and I'm really struggling like for motivation, etc. Sorry?
Is that a cold, dark place?
It's a cold, dark garage with loads of junk and weights and stuff. But I think the difference is that as when sort of motivation ends, I think your discipline has to come in, and sort of discipline is built up over 8, 9, 10 years.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, so when they're not motivated, they just stop. And the difference is just getting it done. And I literally set my watch now to 30 minutes, and so when I'm done, that I don't do no more than 30 minutes, and that's my way of getting through it. Currently,
you make
I could do a lot more. I could do an hour, but I'm not feeling like doing an hour. I don't want to do an hour.
You make a really valid.
I don't want to do an hour in a cold garage.
Yeah. Have you got David Goggins, the guy in America?
Yeah, I've heard
it.
He's like does the ultra marathons, and he's all about kind of motivation. He's lifting the weights and he's running God knows how many miles. And I heard him say something on, I think it was on social media the other day, and he says you can't rely on motivation to get things done, because your motivation goes up and down. You can rely on your habits. So when your motivation is down, you can rely on your habits and your discipline to kick in, like you said, Jamie, to get things done, to get shit done.
I think also what you have to do is, because like motivation is like, you can say it, but you don't really know what it means, and you've got to figure out like what your like personal why, what your reasoning is to do it. So like, like when you get a client or someone and they're looking to take on a diet or a diet, they most likely will always have the same answer for that reason. That's because they want to lose weight. But sometimes that's just not enough, because if they do lose that weight, then is there going to be that reason still there for them to carry on? Because obviously you're going to have to carry on and keep it going to keep them maintained and keep what they've gained. So it's kind of figuring out what the actual reason is that you have to do, or why you're doing what you're doing, and sticking to it. So, for example, mine's pretty simple. I want to. I've got 2 young boys, and I want to be in my 60s able to do all the things they do, and I don't want to be like how, like my dad now he's got a number of health issues, nothing serious, but just because he's like neglected himself a little bit, like, back in the day. So, he can't do all the things that I want to do. If I want to go for a big trek or a hike with him or do something like that, I can't enjoy that relationship with my dad the way that I want to, but I want to try and make sure I reinforce my body in a place where I can do that. So basically what I'm doing is my reason for training is create longevity to enjoy my kids and later in life. So that's the reason, and that's my why of training. And so sometimes you have to figure out what that is to stay motivated, rather than just being motivated for the sake of being motivated.
Yeah. And I think as coaches, that's almost our job, to coach our client to find that out, or to really dig deep to find out what that why is. And I'm glad you put it like that. Your why has to be strong, because that's exactly what we say. We need to know what your why is. Well, I want to lose weight. Well, that's not your why. Why do you want to lose weight? Well, in 3 months' time, I'm going to a wedding, or I've got a wedding. Okay. So why do you want to lose weight for your wedding? Well, I've got this beautiful wedding dress. I want to look fantastic in it. Okay, so why do you want to look fantastic? It's almost just kind of digging deeper and deeper and deeper.
Yeah, you're kind of like working backwards, aren't you, to the actual root of why you want to do it.
Exactly.
And it could be something similar, like maybe they were picked on at school. It could be something really silly, but quite far back in like STEM, and that's the actual reason rather than the generic, I just want to lose weight.
Yeah, and which kind of brings me to the next point. A lot of people that generically would like to lose weight, but they haven't got hold of their why. And actually, it's something they want to lose weight. They want to lose weight for a long period of time. It could be something which happened in school. It could be something which have happened throughout their lifetime. But at that point, when someone wants to lose weight, they're not feeling comfortable in themselves. So actually, they're quite vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I think that's where I dislike the marketing to losing weight, looking like this, looking like a beach body, because that's what these vulnerable people want. And actually, there's no quick way to attain that. That's a complete overhaul of lifestyle changes, of mindset, of educating. And don't get me wrong, it can be done, but it's got to be coached the right way, and it's not going to be an overnight success.
No, and I think a lot of the time people invest too much kind of expectation of answers on social media, where it's a very, you might scroll through something and expect like an answer to your problems. If it's to do with fat loss, weight loss, I want to become stronger, this or that. And it's like, it's too quick on there. Like you can't find what you're searching for. Or if you do, it's very kind of, I suppose, it's just not enough to give you that answer you want, or it's quite fake. It's very kind of filtered. So I think people are, they're not quite knowing what answers they need to ask and what they're looking for and the reasons for why they're looking for it. And that's a problem as well, I suppose.
Realistic expectations, isn't it? Because most of the stuff on Facebook, like you said, is fake. Someone may look like that for a 2-minute period of their life and may have been on a stupid diet for 8 weeks. They feel like absolute rubbish. They're dehydrated. I suppose you could take bodybuilders, for example, can't you?
Yeah.
When a bodybuilder goes to a show and actually how much they're depleted, how much energy, but zero energy, how much they're dehydrated, just to show the perfect physique for that almost that kind of 1 hour stage.
Well, that's what it's like, is it? Instagram is basically the 21st century of bodybuilders. It's working really hard for that one moment, that one picture, to then sell the hell out of it for whatever your product is, your service is, or whatever it is you're doing.
Yeah.
Same kind of thing, I suppose.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Well, what do you think, James? I know you've got a few views on kind of like social media and how people are, I suppose, not so much portraying themselves. I suppose it's what they're portraying. Do you think social media is a positive or negative for someone's mindset?
Well, it's the coach's job, isn't it, to find out their goal and to sort of really sort of nitpick on sort of what they want to achieve, because as all goals are different, aren't they?
Yeah.
Because some people want to look like the bodybuilders, but some people want to run a 5K in 35 minutes. It's all relative, and it's the coach's job to really sort of map out how they're going to get to their goal and how they make small improvements. But no, to answer your question about social media, most of it's false, isn't it? Most of it's false, and it's just that sort of 1 minute shot, a sort of picture, which they sort of sell that you can get to in 10 weeks, but it really took them 4 months. So yeah, it's quite fake, but
yeah,
it's like
that's the world we live in, isn't it? It's just marketing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like social media. I think it actually causes more kind of like psychological, mental problems than it solves.
Yeah.
It's like people have like maybe they've adapted or brought on new mental problems because they have this like addiction or whatever to social media. They expect to look a certain way because, like, you know, they've been forced that's how to look. So they'll kind of go on social media to kind of search for the answers. But, like, you know, going on social media to look at some kind of psychological problem is like, you know, being drunk, going to a bar. It doesn't really have that kind of the answer in the right place, and it kind of it's too, you know, people 9 times out of 10 people on social media are trying to sell something or influence someone for their own benefit. Very rarely are they trying to not. And people, I think, you know, follow the wrong kind of things too much and then get caught up in it. And it happens quite a lot with social media.
Yeah.
You should only follow people that make you feel better and not worse, basically. And that's your choice. And if someone makes you feel worse in any way by going on there, sort of just get them off your account. Because there is people out there that are trying to help people sort of get healthier, get fitter, and to make them realize that they can reach their goals. But there's some people out there that are sort of portraying unrealistic, false, load of rubbish, basically.
Do you think people out there that are like a little bit more naive and a little bit more easily influenced end up following the wrong ones and just watching them all day, and then they're the ones, you know, that...
Absolutely. I think that's why you can see these big companies putting so much money into these marketing campaigns, because like we said before, if it may be a little bit of naivety, but it's almost how you're feeling, body conscious, and you want to have a fix. You want to go from A to B, and if someone's saying, I can do this for you, and we've done it for so many millions of people, and you could do the same too if you drink shakes for 2 to 3 months, I think that's how their model works, and why it's so successful.
That's what they do. You look at, you're saying like Kelly Brooks now, adopted like Slimming World or whatever it was. They obviously see her account, see her followers, see how much she trends. They're like, right, well, you can have this much money, just post a few pictures of this product. All those followers will be like, well, that's why Kelly Brooks looks the way she does. But in theory, she's always looked relatively good. So it's like, and people forget that, and they're just like, they see that product placement and they're like, well, that's got to be it. That's the reason. That's what I should do. And
very clever marketing. Is it Kendall Jenner who's like the first like Jenner billionaire, because literally she just posts something about certain makeup or whatever on her Instagram and stuff like that, and made an absolute fortune saying she used certain products.
I think she has like one of the most followed accounts or something as well. So it's just a massive audience, isn't it?
Right then, guys, let's wrap things up. If each of us have got to put almost not nailing it, but if we're going to finish this kind of podcast with one thing we would like to say about diets, what would you say? I mean, from my point of view, I would say definitely it's down to the coach to help the client to understand and educate and talk about the importance of consistency, and not being able to be able to do a quick fix, and be honest with that, because some clients do want a quick fix. And I think we've turned clients in away before by saying, look, we're not going to give you 4 protein shakes a day for you to lose weight. That's not going to happen. If you kind of train with us, it's for the long haul, and we're going to be thinking about your overall health, not just your physical health, but your mental health as well. And I suppose for me as a coach, that's the kind of line I'd be going down.
Yeah, no, that's what I agree with that. I'll probably just say, you know, just keep a lot of realism in your nutritional choices. So, you know, if you're one of these people that you have, you know, it depends on your circumstances. If you have a big family and every Friday night you have a takeaway, then just have the takeaway. Just be very careful of what you do with the rest of the week. Just be realistic and use a massive dose of common sense. You don't need a diet. You just need to scale down, maybe.
Absolutely. What about you, Jamie? Final thoughts from Jamie Cole?
I think there is a place for diets based on the client's start point, because if you're severely unhealthy, severely overweight, there's no bones about it, you need to diet quick.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying you're going to be dieting quick forever, but as if you've got a lot to lose, dieting, that's a route that you've got to go down. But as you've both said, it's up to that coach to be real with the client, to sort of educate the client, to tell them it's not a long-term thing. So this is a temporary phase, but we will coach you into a more lifestyle, long-term approach. But you're here now, so you need to do this now because your start point is here. So in one sentence, I think there is a place, but it's all got to be sort of individual. It's all got to be based on the client, because some people need that balance to stay on track, but some people can't have the balance because they can't not as overindulge.
Yeah.
So they have to have the strict, no, you can't have that for this amount of time to get here.
Yeah.
But it's all got to be based on the client because it's also individual. So I think so. As I think most plans have a dieting slant to them, but there's better ones for different people at different times. So
I think Jamie's hit the nail on the head. I think when you look at weight loss and fat loss, I think it is the key term is individuality, isn't it? Toward it, like what one thing will not work for another. Like Slimming World might work for Jane, but it won't work for Karen. Cambridge Diet might work for Tom, but it won't work for Paul. You know, it's literally figuring out where you are, what situation you're in, and what approach you have to take. It's
just touching on what you said, as if someone's 20 stone, they can't have a Chinese on a Friday night because they've been doing that for too long, right?
Yeah.
And that's in black and white. Like it's also individual. Yeah. Like your current condition will sort of dictate on what approach that you have to go down.
And I suppose
that might sound a bit sort of black and white, but it's all with your best interest and the client's best interest.
I think it's a valid point because I suppose it's risk and reward, isn't it? What's the risk of someone who's been overweight for a long period of time? Well, the risk is you could get diabetes, you get heart disease, you have a heart attack, you could die from this. So actually, we need to do something quick and fast. So this is what we're going to do. But then someone who maybe wants to lose a little bit of weight for the summer, that's somewhere where it can be a more, I suppose, gradual process. So like you both said, I think that individuality of every client, because everyone's going to be completely different. Everyone's going to almost have as I like to call it, a frame of reference where someone will have a different relationship to certain food to somebody else. Someone will hate food, someone will love food. Someone's going to be a social eater. It's a different kind of frame of reference for each person. I suppose it's our roles as coaches to understand that and almost work out the best plan and the best way forward with them to be able to maintain it.
The art of coaching is picking the best plan for that individual, changing it so when it needs to be changed, not changing it so when it doesn't need to be changed, telling people that they can and can't have this based on their personality traits and their sort of start point. We're saying the same thing. It's individual. It needs to be personal, doesn't it?
That's literally what it is. It's again, just a quick one back on social media. Social media is just too generic, isn't it? So it takes the individuality away from it all because there might be target audience in some people, but then someone else, like we said, a 20 stone person that's in desperate need to lose weight. Like I could say, have a Chinese, but this is for like more the general public that I deal with, that don't have a massive weight issue, just want to make some subtle changes. Yeah. But that 20 stone person be like, well, like James said, I've been having Chineses, so it's got to be a little bit more drastic for that individual. So it's just, again, very much that person needs to know who they need to talk to and where they need to go. And us as coaches need to know how to deal and how to plan with each person as they are and where they're going.
Absolutely. Yeah. You know what? I think that's a great point to end on. So, chaps, thank you very much. Hopefully we can open our studios at some point this year.
Hopefully March? Is it going to be possibly March? I don't know. They're reviewing it. When are they reviewing it? Is it March? I don't know.
Well, they were hoping for some normality around February half term, but who knows?
Yeah.
So it could be some outdoor stuff maybe in March, and maybe studios end of March, April time. But yeah, fingers crossed, touching wood, toes crossed, and everything like that. But thank you very much both for your time. I'm sure we'll be jumping on and doing this again regarding another subject. So thank you very much, and I'll see you guys soon.
Cheers, Russell.
No worries. Thank you.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers. Take care.